Hello and welcome to Eye on the Money, the television show that gives you insights into how to improve your financial well-being as well as make your money work for you. I'm Ingrid Nantege, and on the show today we discuss the importance of a business mentor in running a successful business. Now, would-be successful business owners need assistance from others who have an intimate knowledge of how business works. Many small business owners try to get that information from business books and classes. While this can be helpful on their own, they are more helpful along business mentoring. Joining me on the show to discuss why, as a business, you need to consider enlisting the help of a business mentor is business mentor and coach Maxwell Gichuhi. Maxwell.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
This time we're not talking chamas, we're talking business mentoring.
Absolutely. But bottom line, we're talking about money.
Bottom line is we're talking about money. We're keeping our eye on the money.
Absolutely.
Now, to get into our conversation of the day.
Yes.
A business mentor, what do they do? Maxwell, on a day-to-day basis, as a business mentor, what would you say goes into the nature of the work that you do?
So let me begin by saying a business mentor is like a guide. Okay. So here is Maxwell. I'm beginning my business. Probably this is in branding and PR. I've never done before. I could have been employed coming from that background, but I've never run a business. So I need someone who can guide me on the tides and ebbs of everyday business. You know, there are things I would have planned for. There are things I think the business will go this way. But this person, having gone through this journey, knows where the corners are, where the bumps are, and where the road is smooth. So they are basically a guide to you.
Right.
Yes.
So with that being said, and with you specifically mentioning the fact that you're a guide, they have experience in, doing business, they'll give you advice on what you need to do, the ebbs. Does that mean only a person who's getting into the business as a startup will need to enlist the help of a business mentor? And by that I mean, for someone who's been doing it a while, do they still need the help of a business mentor?
Absolutely.
How does that work?
Absolutely, Ingrid. Right. I have been in business for many years, and I still work with mentors. Because like I keep saying, this road keeps unraveling. So maybe today I'll get a curveball that I've not gone through before. So the reason why I need a mentor at that particular point is because, number one, probably they've gone through it. Right. Number two, maybe they've not gone through it, but they've experienced, they've gathered over the years, 50 years, is enough for them to tell me at least on what I can do or what I should be thinking about. And that eases off a lot of stress and pressure because you're working with someone who knows the ebbs and tides of this road. Right? It's basically like a child. There are things they find it difficult. If you have a 4-year-old, maybe you're training them to do something, and they feel like this is impossible. It can't be done. But there you are telling them, son, this is possible. Right. You can do it like me. You can do it like mommy. You can do it like daddy. So the ability for you to give that confidence to inspire me is what pushes me, and then I get off this paradigm shift of this is impossible, it cannot be done. And once your mind starts seeing that it's possible, then you definitely find a solution, and you also have an easy ride. Yes.
Maxwell, still in line with trying to understand the use of a business mentor to me, yes. And you've talked about they'll help you figure out the difficult times, they'll be that guide. My question then is, in terms of specifics, so, because for example, you can go to someone and you'll say, I'm really struggling with, accounting in my company, can you help me do this, right? You can go to someone and say, I'm really struggling with marketing my company, can you do this? In terms of on what the experience that they bring on board, or even what they bring on board, you know what I mean? The specifics. What am I going to derive from a business mentor?
Let me give you some examples. For instance, one time my business crashed, it collapsed. So I have a mentor. He was my boss before, but I took him in as a mentor. And I remember that time, he's a guy who just smiled about it. And he said, what's the worst thing, Maxwell? Yeah, you get to lose this, you get to lose. Right. What's the worst thing? Then once you start mentioning, then he asks you, are you still creative? Are you still innovative? Do you still have your marketing skills? Are you still good at doing what you're doing? And then he says, what you've lost is very, very little in the light of everything. So all you need to do is go mourn, mourn, it's important to mourn, right? Then chill, then come back. Then remember, failure is not fatal. Failure is not the end. It just helps you now. This time you're going to start more intelligently. You know what to do and what not to do. You're going to sharpen your vision, right? Another example, we are here talking about chamas. sometimes let's talk about what we're talking about. Maybe we want to invest in land and property. So here we are, 22 members. None of us have ever been in that industry before or in that space before. So we bring on board someone who's been in that industry for 45 years. So what happens is we get to escape, being conned, not knowing what to do, knowing what laws we should follow, knowing which offices we should visit. So you end up saving your organization money and time as well. Because they always say, when a fool is rebuked, the wise learn. So I don't need to go through that mistake to learn.
Right.
Although mistake is a teacher, but wisdom is better, is a better teacher. Yes.
Now, Maxwell, this mentor that we're talking about,
Yes.
does it have to be someone who 100% has had experience in doing business, or does it have to be someone who maybe has accumulated knowledge through education, through just like picking up short courses here and there? Because we know there's a saying that goes, those who know how to do and those who don't teach,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So if you have that education, what should you look out for? Is this someone who has had an immense amount of experience doing businesses? They have an organization that's standing for, a good 15 years, because that's a bit of credibility.
Absolutely.
Or can you also trust someone who just has education? How do you go about that part?
So let me begin by saying, Ingrid, I think the most important is first to identify that there are different kind of mentors.
Right.
You might need a mentor who will be there by your side from the beginning to the end. But as your business is growing, maybe you're going further than ever done before. And that's the beauty about mentors. They are supposed to be leaders. And we are told, we stand on their shoulders. So we are supposed to see further. But from the beginning, from the conception, we need these mentors because especially when it comes to business, I see people starting out a business and there's a lot of assumption. We think business will go this way, right. This is what we will do. But when you have these people, they sober you up. They bring you to the ground. Not in the sense that they are bringing you down, but they help you start from a pragmatic position. Now, as the business grows, for example, maybe I want to scale up and my mentor had never scaled up before. Now I need a mentor who can help me in scaling up my business. So I probably go to someone who's scaled business before because they'll tell me what to avoid and what to do. Sometimes, like right now, Kiara is talking to people about taxes. So people have been running business. Now people will panic because they have no idea if there is something they've never done that they should have done, or maybe they didn't do enough. So I can get someone with that experience or knowledge to train me on taxation. Just tell me, this is what usually you're supposed to comply to. This is what you're supposed to do as a business, right? So mentors will vary. Some are just for a period.
Right.
Some are for a moment. You just need them for that one particular moment. Some will stay with you from the beginning to the end. Some will take you through half the journey, right? So different seasons sometimes will call upon different mentors. But at the end of the day, mentorship is key if we ever want to do more than we could hope to achieve in our lifetime.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Maxwell, a business mentor and a business consultant, are the two synonymous? Is that one and the same thing? And what's the difference, if there's any?
I would tend to think they're different because number one, I would go to a consultant for a particular purpose, right? A mentor will be there for you even in the things that probably he's not adept in or adroit in. He would still work with you in thinking it out, right? In brainstorming with you. We would approach a consultant, like I was saying, maybe I want to scale up and I don't know how to scale up, so I want to pay someone to do that. People talk about strategy. I've been asked for my profile. I'd never done a strategy, but I'm doing a thriving business. I'm running a thriving business. So I'll go to a consultant who will help me put on paper what I already have in my mind, because I have the vision, I have the projections, I know where we are going, and I've been doing well so far. But I would go to a consultant to help me now package it, depending on who is asking for it. Maybe you have investor or you have venture capitalist, and you're very good in what you're doing, Ingrid. But that doesn't mean you're good on putting it down on paper.
Right.
So I want to go to someone who is experienced or adroit in that regard to help me put on paper what I have in my mind. So there are things I'll put and they will say, Maxwell, this makes sense to you. It doesn't make sense to someone who's an outsider.
Right.
Yes.
Now, Maxwell, we all know this journey of entrepreneurship and doing business. For people who've done it, they'll say it's a lonely journey.
Yes.
It's an extremely taxing journey. Yes. It's very hectic. It will almost suck everything out of you. So as someone maybe who's in the field looking for a mentor, how do I go about it? Do I go to someone who is familiar with me? I already understand how they work in their business, and maybe it aligns with how I want to work with mine? Or should I just like randomly do research? How do you go about deciding on that? And that's because I don't know if a lot of people will sit down and willingly, just sit down and say, okay, these are all the tricks you need to know about the trade. How do you get that perfect person to walk that business journey with you?
I think first understanding where you're going, not even where you're beginning, because sometimes we're beginning with a lot of challenge. And for me, vision is key. Forget capital, forget resource, vision is key. Right? Understanding where I'm going is key for me to determine who I want to bring on board. Because remember, this person is like a partner, right? Now, being a Kenyan and loving Kenya, one of the things I would say, Ingrid, about Kenyan and the businessmen we have around is, imagine, people are very generous in assisting, right? But we also need to show commitment. One of the mentors I approached, I remember it's like he was giving me a test, trying to see if I can get frustrated or I'm impatient. And then on the third day is when now class started. Right. And this was just at Java, right? We were seated. Then he started telling me, you first need to get this in order. But as I've continued, like I was saying, I get to understand there are things I need to chaperone. There are things I need chaperoned. There are things I need to dive in deeper. I can get a mentor specifically for that purpose. So what I would say, especially for those who are listening to us, is be optimistic. There are very many genuine, successful businessmen who are ready to mentor young people. And also a call to these successful business people to come in and assist. Because Ingrid, remember, entrepreneurship is a spark plug of any thriving economy. And the best way for this country forward is when this entrepreneurship blossoms and blooms. Everyone gets to benefit. Yes.
Maxwell, before we even take a quick break, I need to ask this question. We all know also the shelf life of a lot of businesses in this country. I would even say in this region. We come from a very, very entrepreneurial part of the world. But when it comes to longevity and shelf life of businesses, 1 year is even pushing it. So the question then is, for someone who's embarked on a business, maybe they've not enlisted the help of a mentor before, they haven't had the conversation going, maybe they didn't really have the vision in place, and somewhere along the way, the business, meets challenges and it fails. Is it possible to enlist then the help of a mentor at that point? Like, does the mentor have the capability to turn around a failing business into a budding one?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ingrid. Absolutely, yes. Number one, like I said, sometimes this is the first time you're doing business. You've never encountered failure in your life. Here you are carrying out your passion. I want to do this to help humanity, and I'm enjoying it at the same moment. And then crash, something happens. At that moment, the first thing you feel is, you feel like I'm a failure. All right? Second thing is, at that moment, if we told you, are you willing to start again? That's the last thing you want to hear.
I've been beaten. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that again. I don't want to hear the word business, entrepreneurship. In fact, I want to relocate. I want to go out country, and change my names. The beauty about these people is, like I say, the first thing is they inspire, but they also encourage. Now, when someone says, if I tell you, Ingrid, Maxwell, this is the first time this is happening to you. This is the first time you're meeting auctioneers. How many times do you think this has happened to me? Say, no, maybe I don't think, you're thriving, your company is listed. Then he tells you, I've gone through it 7 times. What? You see, that changes instantly. What you thought was fatal. So that helps you now change. And that's why I was saying perspective is very important. And yes, many mentors have done that, and they will help you build, because now they will tell you, what is it? Why is it that you went wrong? What do you think you went wrong? You assess yourself, then they tell you this is probably what you did. Did you have auditors to be doing your books? Did you put in cash flow systems? Were there systems in your company, to hedge you against risk and theft? Right? Did you do 1, 2, 3? No. So the next time you need, when you start again, what are you going to do? So you already have an idea. And then they say, no, you need to do this better. You spent too much time doing the non-essential. You forgot the essential. So you need to write down, what are your essentials? so that you can spend time. Sometimes people will say, I don't have that time for the mentor.
Yes.
But that's the reason why we need this mentor, to avoid such pitfalls. So we need to create that time. And even for them, it's not very easy. If you find a genuine, successful entrepreneur willing to work with you, these people, their greatest value, resource is time, not even money, time. So if they are willing to allocate a few minutes of their time, then we also need to commit and commit more. Yes.
So at this point, I'm going to take a very short break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, well, we have a lot more to discuss on this conversation of the importance of having a business mentor even as you go about carrying out your operations as an entrepreneur. We'll be right back.